started, and it's quite interesting. I think in about 2010, 2011, things weren't so good financially, also relationship, marriage, and work-wise. Obviously, the Celtic Tiger was well and truly going downhill, and I was, struggling to make ends meet, and also my health then started to decline with arthritis. So it was kind of all these things hit me in 2010, and I couldn't see a way out. I was trying to train. I couldn't. At one stage, I couldn't walk 5 kilometers because of the pain would be too severe on my hips and my knees. And I ended up in bed for 2 days, even after a 5-kilometer walk. So, again, I was struggling. I was 40 years of age, and I didn't think I'd make 40 at one stage, the way I was carrying on drinking and kind of was a bit of a jack the lad, Yeah. And so it was before we got to the cold water. Everyone has their stories of their struggles, and everyone has their behind the scenes, behind the goggles kind of story. There is always these stories, and for mine, it just, I was always an endurance athlete, and I went back to a true swimming.
Yeah. And what was that like? Did it help the pain and things like that you were feeling?
I only really discovered in 2010 cold water swimming. I was telling you, I was suffering badly from arthritic on my knee, one knee and a hip was pretty bad. I was scheduled for operation, both replaced. And somebody mentioned cold water down to 40 foot in Dublin. And I said, yeah, okay. I went down and looking at all these lads and lovely ladies plunging and dipping. Nobody was really swimming. They were kind of plunging and stuff. And I said, I'll try it. And it lasted about 2 minutes. I don't even know what temperature water was. It doesn't really matter. But I just kind of lasted, and I got some relief that day, and it really helped me. I don't know. I just kind of woke up with a few sparks in me, and I said, yeah, this is not bad. And it was kind of a natural pain relief for me. And I just kept going back. I wouldn't say every day, but every couple of days. And I got maybe 3 minutes then, maybe even a swim during the arms. Before it was just kind of a heads up breaststroke, the U's and the A's. And I kind of I started to hang around with all these elderly people who were kind of similar joint problems that I have, even though I was only 40, 41, 42. And I kind of got the whole essence of what they actually do most days, every day actually. For most of them, their times, their set patterns, their routine, their in the water, 10 strokes out, 10 strokes back kind of thing. The little clubs, 10 o'clock clubs, 11 o'clock clubs, 1 o'clock clubs, all first name basis. You don't know who you're talking to. It doesn't really matter what you do. You could be a barrister or a bin man, but you're still the same in the water, in their opinion, I kind of learned all the basics from these great people down in the 40 foot in Dublin. And I sort of embraced the whole thing, winter especially. And I just kind of started to, just go longer, a bit longer, maybe out to the first buoy, which is like, say, 250 meters there and back. And of course, I had an entourage of people minding my gear, because no one goes out to the buoys in winter, this kind of way. Before the euphoria, actually, winter swimming in Ireland started, or even the name ice swimming, I didn't even know what that was at that stage,
Yeah, there's been a big boom, hasn't there? Definitely. But yeah, so from there, sort of that 2012 sort of period and stuff, you've gone on to do your ice miles, or is it more than 10 ice miles? Nominations for World Swimmer of the Year, male World Open Water Swimmer of the Year.
Yeah.
and the extreme winter relay, which I can't wait to find out more about. But I mean, are there any tales on the way where it's been sort of to go from where you were there, learning from all those people?
Yeah, there's a couple of hard lessons I learned in the early days of, you know, I would say your ego and your enthusiasm takes over in the cold, and this can turn into a danger point, which we didn't really know in 2010, 11, what we're really doing. What was the body? What's hypothermia? We had no clue what it was, bar we just heard about it. And again, we were starting to push more distance. Well, I was, and I was getting into the unknown. And we had a couple of mistakes on the way. I'll show you a picture in a sec now. That though I was swimming over North Dublin, and I was doing a mile in 6 degrees in 2012, early 2012, and I got completely hypothermic during the swim. I wasn't able for it. My body wasn't able for it. And I wasn't physically able for it, and I ended up full on hypothermia. And ambulance and in the hospital that day. And I said, I'll just show you a picture. If I can, I think. It's a virtual picture, actually. So these are the hard lessons I learned over the years that stood to me. I'll just blank out my screen there, but you can see that there. That's actually me with the paramedics around me. They're trying to resuscitate me. I went slightly unconscious, and I could see all the silver foils around me. I'm basically can't see my face, but I'm actually buried under jackets and various warming blankets. And that just shows, you know, that I tried to push it too early, too soon, in a cold water temperature, and that's what happened to me. I suffered, and it was a valuable lesson. And that's one of the photographs I always show to people, that look, this is what happened to me at the start, and these are the errors I made. And I always believe that it kind of adds to, you know, this where we're at now, how skilled we are now, you know.
Yeah. Well, how long were you sort of in distress for in that situation
then? That was a mile swim, 1,600 meters, and I'd say I was 4 hours before I could walk.
Wow.
Because I was so badly hypothermic, and then they asked me to the hospital as a precautionary,
wow.
You know, to get checked out, which I was released within a few hours, but it certainly knocked me. Lessons learned, and I think that was the hardest lesson I learned, but the most valuable, that I was able to say, right, that was stupid, whatever, and I started to actually, you know, think about things more, what I'm able to do, and get more skilled at it. You know, so it's it's a hard lesson, but it's where people make the mistakes of trying to push it too far.
Yeah. Which
in our game, it's quite dangerous, you know, and you'll end up like this, where like me, very quickly.
And do you have any warning signs now off the back of the experience? Any sort of things that you?
I think preparation for me now, like you know, I think my figures now is, I think I'm officially 30 ice miles, but I've done 19. Officially IISA my ice miles, and then 19 I think is my total number.
Yeah.
And I think from those, if I'm not prepared, physically prepared, mentally prepared, I just won't do it. It's as simple as that. I haven't done an ice mile in about, say, 2 years, I think. We might be doing one actually next weekend, in Austria. But I'll see. If I'm not able for it, I won't do it.
Yeah.
Because I've been training in the pool. Am I cold water climatized? Do I have the passion to do another one? Do I want to do another one? Or, you know, I'm bringing over new swimmers to Austria, which is great to see them perform.
Yeah.
And to me, you know, giving back to what's been good to me is kind of part of what I do. Yeah.
Well, that might be, and that seems to be like looking at your journey on paper and watching some of the videos and stuff. It seems like you've gone through that phase of doing some challenges on your own, and obviously you've moved on and done the relay swim. And yeah, it's a lovely sport to give something back into, isn't it? You know,
It is. You know, I don't know. I think if you get good at something, I got a second chance in life. You know, at 40 years of age, to be able to start succeeding again, which is very unusual at the 40 to become, and then by 40, I think 47 to become one of the best, number one in the world in ice swimming, in endurance ice swimming.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't get those chances, and it's very rare, and I'm very thankful of that I got the second chance.
Yeah.
And so now if I see other people who are faster and stronger than me and they're local to me, I'll help them. Or if they're involved in channels or North channels or relays or advice, I get maybe 1-2 calls a week, and I gladly talk to anyone. I give them as much time as I can.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the way it should really work, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I don't know if you want to just sort of tell us about some of the ice miles that you've done all around the world, and just I know I'm imagining that people are probably burning with their own questions, so please do pop questions into the chat, because we will try and get through as long as we can as we go through tonight.
Yeah, I done a lot. I started in obviously in Ireland, and we started in a couple. We actually, the sea wasn't cold enough, so we used to go up to these lakes, altitude lakes, and you get maybe 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, that kind of thing. And we were doing those, and you know, I think I clocked up with 3 kind of local ice miles. And then Ian Conroy, I heard a place called Wildwater Armagh. It's a place up in Armagh. It's a 2-lane pool, which is really, really cold pool, extremely cold. And we kind of looking for something different. I'm looking forward to actually train for events. And of course, a 25-meter lane pool at 2 degrees was obviously a brilliant training ground. So I started to travel up there quite a lot with the ice swimming championships. Ice swimming was sort of evolving then into an organised sport. Like IISA Ireland, which is International Ice Swimming Association Ireland, was formed 2015, and we had some great events with great training sessions with David Burke and all the gang from Camelot. Jacqueline Paget Mallon from Infinity, before Infinity started, Infinity Challenge Swimming started. So we were all kind of pretty fresh at this and new at it, and learning from each other, and again, some learning from mistakes as well. So we started to push distance then. In Armagh, we started to sort of push like into over a mile distance, into maybe 2 kilometers, maybe 3 degrees. So I was coming with all these concepts, and then I think a pinnacle then I done a 0 degree ice mile in Armagh, which is 0.7 the water temperature was, and we done that. That's 64 lengths of this pool, I think, if I'm right. But then the competitions started to interest us in Russia, especially Siberia, Murmansk, and obviously the Baltic countries like Poland, Lithuania, and kind of cold water stuff. And we were definitely going into the Lion's Den, because this is where most of this kind of extreme stuff originated from. So we started in about 2014. I think my first trip was to Siberia, a place called Tumen, and it was the Siberian Cup, and the distance was 500 meters, and the water was obviously 0 degrees, floating ice in front of you, and the air temperature was minus 25, and that scared the living daylights out of any of us. So 500 meters, yeah, it sounds easy, but it's, believe me. And then top it off, it was at night with floodlights. So that certainly scared us. But I think with the training that we were doing here, I think we were actually quite skilled afterwards. We weren't really in a difficult state. We came out 500 meters. We took a few medals as well, and we were actually composed ourselves in recovery and stuff. And we were getting, our bodies were getting hardened, if you want to call it, to the ice and water.
And then the swims up in the Arctic where you're swimming around the iceberg, that picture you had earlier, that looked amazing as well.
Yeah, there was, I'll put it up there actually. Well, actually, I'll go through some of the pictures and the ice miles here just to give their listeners a story. So that's myself and my wife, Alice, training. You can see that. We started training in ice baths, and basically, where do you go for 3 tons of ice? You go to your fishmonger. That's where you go. And there's a place over in Hout, and he gave me unlimited ice, as much as I want. I went over there to train, and eventually, sitting in a bath of ice, I was able to sit there. It took me a few years now, but I was able to do an hour and 15 minutes. And that means your hands are down, your neck is down. So there's a record, there's a video there somewhere that I was able to actually take that much punishment that is sitting there. Not very good for your sex life, I can tell you. Things don't work very good afterwards. It takes a month anyway. So, I'll leave your listeners to understand that. But yeah, so it was. But look, we started to mess around with this kind of ice swimming. Actually, there's a picture of the place I was telling you about in Schumann. You can see, you can just know by the water how cold it is there. Everything. Your towel freezes, your country flag freezes. It's amazing, and I think that was the kind of the start of it when I was able to really say, "Wow, this is something special," and I was pretty okay with it. So that was a little bit human, and so again, we started to travel around the world. Myself and Alice in Poland, we're chopping out ice holes for a swim. What else do you do? That's one of my earliest swims. Actually, that was 2012 when I done an ice mile. Actually, you can see my brothers in the kayak there with a friend Dave, and that was in Lough Dam in County Wicklow, and that was 2 degrees. That water was.
Wow.
So we pushed into it quite quickly, and then I think 2015 was the first ice swimming world championships, and that was in Murmansk in Russia. And there was only 3 of us that actually were able to do 1,000 meters in that kind of temperature, 0 degrees. And there's a picture of me actually after my 1,000 meters. Not the best, but anyway, that's what 1,000 meters in 0 degrees can do to you with minus 15 or something on top of that. So that was a huge experience for all of us. We had a huge team of Irish there, and we're very proud of that. We were able to even completing something like that is a sheer task. So that's what we're saying. That's as you do. Yeah, that's how skilled we were getting. We're using these as lilos, these ice. That was in St. Petersburg in River Lena.
Wow.
We were just able to just lie around, and that's the kind of where our bodies are getting hardened and tempered towards the icy water. And so then we started to travel. Russia. I think I went to Russia 4 times. I think over the winter. In 2014 and 15, I went to Russia, I'd say twice a year, and we were competing in various events over there. It's quite extreme, but if you really want to hone your skills, you got to go into a place which is proper cold. Like the water is normal. Sometimes they don't even measure the water because they just go at 0. They don't even measure. They don't use thermometers. They just go, well, there's ice floating in it. What do you think it is? So when we go on about measuring temperatures here, we're quite clinical. They're just like, well, you have to cut the pool out of the ice. So what temperature do you think it's going to be? You know what I mean? They think it's a normal day out. Where we're like, if we seen chainsaws coming up here, we're trying to cut out ice holes, to be probably police would be called for you. You know what I mean? But over there, it's quite normal. So yeah, again, this was years and years of training and years of traveling to, I started to travel then to do more extreme ice miles, which would be sort of altitude stuff. That's actually me there in North Norway. It's a friend of mine, Packy. And that's me in North Norway there in a fjord that no one ever swims. It was 71 degrees north. And in fact, I swam around an island. Instead of doing an up and down or making up your 1,600 meters, I'm so strong in the cold, I was able to actually go around a complete island. And then I renamed the island after me because I was able to do that in Google Maps. I don't know how I did it, but I did. So there's an island there in the fjord. So we had a good few summers with us that time as well. And so we ended up doing, so our kind of journey was beginning to take us, as you can see there, that is the Ice Sevens Challenge was born in 2016. The concept came from me. From then, it was rubber stamped by Wicklow Swimming Association, and then obviously Lambert from the Ice Swimming Association then took it on board, and that was labelled as the Ice Sevens Challenge. And you can see where I travelled in one of my sevens. Northern Ireland, Norway, Russia, Morocco, USA, Australia, and the bottom one is actually Antarctica. So just say, yeah, I spent a few quid on flights.
Yeah. And
so, yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, and that thing about giving back and leaving a legacy is just like, I don't know, it just runs through everything that you're talking about. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I know we're going through the places I've done and what I've done, but it's, I don't know, enjoying a journey is one thing, enjoying these special moments, meeting new people, but part of your responsibility to have the privilege to be able to do these things is to give back to other swimmers or to other people, and encourage them and to fulfill their dreams and show them the way or assist them. And that's the way I roll. You know, it's nothing has changed. I'm lucky to have all these opportunities, and I'll continue to keep doing them as long as body can take it. You know, but you know, it's okay doing these achievements, and then you come home and you've got a big room full of medals and say, "Oh yeah, you're a great fella." Look at, to me, I don't even know where half my medals are, to be honest with you, or my certificates or whatever, because I've had incredible, I'm very privileged and very lucky to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lesson to, actually, it was one lesson that was said to me years ago by a guy who actually, he done one of these things called the DECA Ironman, which is 10 Ironmans in 10 days. And his life was an absolute mess before he started, because I was doing some Ironmans with him. And he said, learn one thing from me. He said, I have a room at home. I said, it's full of medals, full of trophies, and I'm on my own. Everyone's left me. My family don't speak to me. My wife is gone because my endurance just consumed me to be, you know, Ironman after Ironman, or in, you know, a channel after channel after channel, or endurance thing. And that's a very fine line in endurance athletes that I think should be spoken more about, that there has to be a happy medium in what we do and how we do it. And we have to come home to our families, we have to come back to our job, you know, before, you know, but then you see all the accolades, but then you see all the there's also all the hidden dangers behind that. You become absolutely consumed by swimming, which suppose I am consuming swimming, but my endurance is, thankfully, I've got all this stuff done before I've driven everyone mad, basically. So that's one message actually before we go into deeper into stuff.
Yeah. No, and well, one thing reminds me of what, like, something that David Burke was talking about when he was on, and he always spoke about talking to the water and this like real sort of connection he felt. So he almost like had conversations about what you just talked about to the water and tried to listen. He said, and sometimes the water spoke back to me, and he genuinely,
Yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to, the sea. The sea or the water is the boss at the end of the day. It'll supersede anything, or the sea will spit you out, or a lake will, be dangerous. So you have to respect the water absolutely completely. And I've seen people talk to the water. There's no harm in it. They have little prayers, be kind to me, or talking to the sea. Be honest with you, I've often gone to, I'm not really a churchgoer, but I've often gone to church just to light a candle to say, will you make sure I'm coming back alive? For what that is higher powered, I don't really know, but I felt there was something spiritual in there for me, without bringing religion into it and that kind of stuff, but for sure.
Yeah, cool. Right, what we I forgot to say at the start is every time we run one of these, we do split into rooms just for people to just network, just for a quick 10 minutes halfway through, just to say hello, just to talk about anything about the concept of the charity, about what Ger's talking about and how inspiring that is, and gives people a chance as well to talk about any questions they might want to ask and stuff. So if people can be engaged in that, it's brilliant. We don't record this part at all. It's been really good for us because I think it's led for people like David coming on, and David coming on has led to Ger coming on and things like that. So it's really nice to get people networking and talking to each other about a common interest, basically. So I was going to open those rooms now. Welcome back, everybody. I think most people are back. A quick check. Yeah.
We've lost a few, but check.
There we go. So yeah, so in the North Channel, then it was mind-boggling to me when I first saw that you were doing this, and in winter as well.
Yeah, actually, interestingly, what was your reaction when you seen it? Because
I'll be honest with you, I was a bit like, because the charity is not really about the extreme stuff. I was like, how dangerous is this? Because it just seemed so edgy, like, especially when I spoke to somebody who was describing I don't know if it's true, but you had to swallow thermometers to monitor your core temperature as you were training or something, or
no, just an observation, because it was about 3 years old. I had this idea when I was actually a bit longer. I think it was October 2018 when I first kind of concepted the gig, and is it possible? And I think it was possible, but I had to bring in international kind of superstars to be able to achieve it, because there wasn't many people in Ireland that could actually be able to take that kind of punishment, and as well as the training. And so there's one good thing that COVID gave to me was the 5 people behind me, because there were 5 novices in endurance game, which was perfect. They were Irish, and I trained with them most days. They've already done a full winter of hard winter training with me 1 year, and they're into their 2nd year. So that was all. It was all hitting. All the pluses were all there. That I have the talents to be able to relaunch this whole thing, which we did then I was on to Patrick, Malin and Jacqueline from Infinity Challenge Swimming. I think it was kind of October 2021 when I said, look, I have something here and I can make this work, and I just need guidance and assistance from Irish Long Distance Swimming Association and World Water Open Water Swimming Association, because we had to rewrite the rules of the North Channel relay format for this concept to go ahead, and also then to protect everybody involved, which is the Channel Swimming Company, the pilot, the integrity of Irish Long Distance Swimming, and basically that nobody, the risks were huge, but they had to believe in. So we had to put a whole concept together of a training plan, all open book with other people who were involved in the committee, and we were able to showcase that we were trained this way. We were able to get our the regular meters we had to hit, so we started to get more serious into it.
Yeah. And then obviously, so you put it together, and then, but it just seemed just like such a, yeah, I mean, then going back and looking at your backstory, it sort of makes it all made sense. But me first seeing it, I was like, wow, what? Because it's like, obviously I've been looking into putting a standard relay channel swimming team together. So and trying to do that and get your head around doing that seems like a massive challenge to me.
No.
Then imagine doing that with a group of people in winter. Yeah, it was just my
I don't know. I think as probably from my own credentials and that I've had skillful expeditions in the past and good leadership skills, good communication with other powers that be, and that we've sort of grown up in open water swimming together. Yeah. And I think they're probably the only person to do it would be me, that they were able to talk, they're able to understand that I can put this whole thing together. Yeah. And so we did. We started off with, I think I had a team of 8 at one stage, and then the 2 people, unfortunately they couldn't make the grade on training, and for medical reasons. Also, there's a high level of medical tests being done on us, which is obviously stress ECGs, full cardiology tests before you even get to the start line. And so the 5 swimmers, then myself, then I set up a 4-month training program, quite intensive. They had to hit various targets, and it was transparent to other people that let us know we're training. And in the meantime, then Irish Long Distance Swimming were rewriting the rules to able to. There had obviously off-season committee meetings to be able to facilitate us to be able to try and put this whole thing together safely in a short space of time. So a lot of people came together to make this happen. It wasn't just me. It was just like the swimmers. It's funny, the swim is the easy bit for me because there was a lot of work in it. But it was something, it was fantastic. It really was.
Yeah. And so they're all local to you in Ireland. I mean, have they all got backstories? Did they all come in similar way to you? Are any of them here tonight?
Not, yeah, similar. Yeah, I kind of, 5, they're all very good swimmers. Yeah. And they just into this kind of endurance frame, which means it's a sacrificing of your training, of your family sometimes. Everything gets longer, you're missing from the home more. Your work life kind of takes second. And, you know, I think that's what we're getting used to. They were well able to swim, to understand what's going to happen to their body. I kept giving them as much information as I can, what's going to happen to the body, because we were expecting water temperatures of 7 degrees. And our concept of swimming for 1 hour, we were initially going for a half an hour per swimmer, but with North Channel rules that are already there, we decided to stick to them, and 1 hour rotation for a team of 6. And so we kind of put it up to ourselves, and we've done a couple of test events where we swam 1 hour in 8.2 degrees and then out for 3 hours, and then repeat that with 1 hour in the same water. And we had medicals there a medical officers there and observers who were actually taking notes of how we were able to recover, how we were able to, our body temperatures, and there were different stats. So that was visually, that was telling me a lot because the swimming right beside me. All the 5 swimmers were.
Yeah. No, and that was it. That was my initial thought with it. But then obviously, like, speaking to people, it's like the amount of prep, the amount of like your knowledge being passed on. Yeah, I think it was David who was telling me about the recovery and how you had to recover in the same conditions you would if you were on the boat and all that kind of stuff. It was like really meticulous, wasn't it? Obviously.
Yeah, we were coming up with we were coming up with some new things that, well, I would call them new because basically you had, the water was 7. I think the lowest was 7.8, the highest was 8.5 or something like that. So we trained for 8s and we knew anything below 7 was no swim. We decided that early. So we were in this bracket of 7s, but we knew if the sea state and the air temperature was a major factor, that if the air temperature dropped into the kind of 3s and 4s, with the water temperature, that would be brutal on the swimmers, And I don't know if we didn't get to see good sea state and a reasonable air temperature, it would be a very different swim altogether. Because you've got a boat, 11.5 meter boat. There was 13 of us on the boat. These were all people who were assigned tasks and jobs, and they were all very important part of it. And we had to then, swim for your hour, and then you've got a 1 meter space, maybe 2 meter space to be able to recover, which is get dressed, recover, and then we started a process of. We call it kinetics, which is structured movements. Say it's basically deep squats, slowly building up to faster squats. Some arm press ups, standing against a wall or a chair. We started to practice these as we were off the boat before in our training, and we found these really worked very well. And then obviously then controlling your own. I would say controlling your own breathing. You try not to become a casualty in some ways. We were we practiced this loads of times to be able to say, right, I used to put down a car mat and say, right, I want you to do an hour swim, go back to this mat, recover on this mat, and then stay there for another hour, and then you can step off the mat. So basically it's the same thing in a boat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the meticulous detail of all this and the kind of sort of army kind of training, which I'm not army, but that kind of meticulous stuff detail is why I think it was successful. Yeah. Because we were able to, each swimmer knew the routine, each crew member is the same routine for each swimmer. There's no one different. You must go through the protocol of recovering, regardless. If somebody says, "Oh, I'm fine," when I hear the fine word, that to me is danger, because they're cold water, or the recovery is actually going to have a meltdown, and they usually go quiet and then become hypothermic,
Yeah.
So we Dr. Darren on board, and he is a air ambulance clinical lead for Northern Ireland, and he was taking stats on us and visuals, and he was our main man in case of any incidents. And we were doing some various tests on board, which I'll showcase in another webinar next week. Basically, all those results from our body, how our body performed. Some bodies went down to 27 degrees, and they took them another hour before they got up to maybe 32 degrees. And we were measuring stats like that. Even we're doing ECGs on board as well, actually. So we were kind of doing stuff on board that showcasing what the body's able to do, recover, and then repeat the same process. Was the repetitive of deep double immersions or triple immersions is pretty hard.
Yeah. And the way you describe it, it sounds like possibly one of the safest swimming crossing, because like you're taking away some of the unknowns, aren't you? Like not everyone's getting an ECG done while they're going across a channel, are they? And you could have a heart attack at any point. You know what I mean? So it's if something did happen and all that kind of stuff. So
well, we were aware if something did happen, the eyes of the world was on us.
Yeah.
And I think if you know, we would be deemed kind of reckless or deemed, you know, irresponsible. I think the weight of that was on me, and then obviously on the pilot and on other people involved, that why, if something did go wrong, why was I allowed to have a go at this kind of thing, you know? So I had to be like a drill sergeant. I had to get the swimmers in order to be able to, you know, absorb that kind of confined area. We had them on a boat a few times. The boat was actually too big. It wasn't confined enough to realize where they're actually going, that the boat is licensed for 15, and I think we had 13 on board. So, you know, your comforts, creature comforts, you don't have, you know, it's a closed boat, but it's a beautiful boat, but it's some people on a boat with a confined space, and if you remove all the kind of, you know, my hot water bottles, where is it, or your music, that's all gone. You're not allowed to wear GPS watches, so you're kind of calculating your own meters, that's all gone too. So you just swim until you get signaled. You're given stroke rates, you're given time we have, you know, 30 minutes boards, 15 minutes boards, and 5 minutes left, and then rotation changes. So we kind of, I think maybe 4 or 5 years from the extreme stuff I was doing and this knowledge I put together, I think we were able to find these new avenues and create now something that hasn't been done. And I think I have a feeling somebody else is going to do it or have a look at it if they're left.
But 3 years worth of meticulous like thinking. This
Yeah.
must have been the moment of completing this must have been some elation for you and obviously for the rest of the guys.
Yeah, no, it was difficult, and Ruth there was there as our observer. She's watching them. Yeah, I started the swim at say 7 a.m. To a great hurrah send off. There was loads of people on shore with torches. There must have been 20 people with head torches. Different kind of. We were able to jump off a boat. I'll actually have a picture of the boat. I think, can I do? Anyway, but yeah, so this jumping off a boat to that kind of realizing that you're taking on something like that, you have to be able to control your adrenaline, your blood pressure, and I was very calm, because I've been in those situations before. So I said, look, lads, I'm starting off first because I just know what's coming. So we started off, and I didn't think I was going to finish on the Scotland side. We were doing quite well, and I got to 12-hour, and I had to do a third rotation then. And to be honest with you, I had actually nominated Colin after me to be able to finish, and I just kept swimming. I put my head down, I kept hammering away, and I looked up and I could see some shining torches on a rock face, and that was Scotland. And I looked up and went, because you've no watch, you don't know where you are in your swim. You just go, oh shit, there's Scotland. I said, okay, it's me. I'm going to finish. So yeah, that was pretty special. We went in, touched land, whistle blew. Observer Ruth was happy that she was able to call the time at 12 hours 51 minutes. And we swam back to the boat then, and of course then it was like a blubber mess. Then I was crying and whinging because, you know, I think all the pressure was relieved that we done it, and we done it safely. That we had no major incidents. We had minor incidents, which is fine during any expedition, but the major ones is like, you know, you forgot the defib, that's a major. You know,
yeah.
The doctor is not here, that's a major. You know, the minors are just simple things, you know, hardly worth talking about.
No, but like you say, you're carrying the weight of all that, aren't you? When you're pioneering stuff, there's so much more at stake if things do go wrong, you know. So
there is. Yeah, there's a lot at stake, and it was the same. It reminds me of Antarctica because when we went down to Antarctica, no one has ever swam down in inside the Antarctic Circle. And that was 67, 68 degrees south.
Yeah.
And no one has ever swum there, full stop. Like, that's it. So we were going in. I was going in with a lot of novice swimmers. There was some strong, trained swimmers also.
Yeah.
But the weight of swimming in Antarctica was on me also. That if I screwed up, or if there was a medical issue, first of all, the ship has to turn around because no helicopter can reach you, for starters. And I think that was the kind of weight I felt in Antarctica. There was a lot of pressure on me. But then when I went to the North Channel, it was less pressure because I've already had this kind of weight of Antarctica swimming. I can destroy swimming forever there. Where this was I was able to absorb more. And but that was only true, being an expedition leader at that standard.
Yeah, I'm sure people have got questions as well from you guys and stuff, and some are starting to come in. One thing I just wanted to ask you while I gather my thoughts on those is, it's maybe a bit random, but how connected do you feel to the environment and things like global issues like global warming and things with some of the things that you've been doing?
Yeah, it's funny. I myself and Lewis Pugh are actually quite good friends. Which is, Lewis is an ocean advocate, UN ocean advocate, and I've always said to Lewis, we talk very openly together. Sometimes we just message it or randomly, or else I ring him. And I've always said to Lewis, look, what you do with your swimming is more powerful than anything else that we can do. If somebody does double the distance what you could do, or 3 channels, 4 channels, but the message that he carries across in his swimming is the most powerful tool I've ever seen. And he's a massive hero. And so it's very hard to follow someone like him in swimming, like what I have done, or so I did. So all I do is I just basically support Lewis whatever I can. We trained together a few times. I was trying to get to Antarctica with him there actually about 2 years ago. Just didn't work out, but I'm just a big fan. So what he does with swimming, I kind of complement what he does.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, but at some point we went in the wheel when he's already done it. And he's been doing it for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got some questions coming in. First, quick one from Kath is, where can we watch you on your next webinar? I don't know if we can definitely share some details if you need us to.
Yeah, I'll email that to you. You can put it up. It's basically, it's on next Thursday night. Thursday week.
Yeah, if it gets emailed across to us, if I pop the Bluetonic links on, if people follow on there, we can make sure that goes on for you guys to see.
It's basically, I'll have 2 doctors with me. One is on board, one is a neutral doctor. And it's all the stats of 4 months, plus all the stats of the swimming, what happened to the swimmers' bodies during the swim, the after effects, the observations, and more detailed in the recovery process. And we can show videos and stuff on this one,
Yeah. Tom's got a question. Tom, your question's too long for me to even attempt to read out. I don't know if you can unmute yourself, Tom, and just ask her a question directly.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thanks for the talk, Go. Really, really inspiring. Just good to it's quite a lonely sport, I find, so it's good to come together like this. It's very warming. But I regularly swim in London at the Parliament Hill Lido, and kind of done a few years, quite acclimatized. I recently went to visit my girlfriend in Calgary in Canada, and I couldn't resist getting the water there. I mean, no one was doing it, but there was a bit of the river that was, flowing that that kind of thawed a bit. And I'd gone a few times, and then one of the days it really dropped down to like minus 20 degrees. And I got in the water, and there was like that frazzle ice forming. I think it must have been minus 0.1 maybe.
Yeah.
But I've been doing like a 5-minute swim when the air temperature was up in the plus. And so I'd done 5, so I was like, I'll just do 1 more minute. I did 6 minutes, felt all right. But then when I got out, my hands just I thought I'd fucked it. And they were kind of like white, looked like some animatronics from some 80s film or something. And panicked a bit. but tried to. Sorry, I think I've lost. Yeah, I haven't lost it. Yeah, I I got a bit spooked, a bit disappointed because I thought, my hands. I take pride in not wearing gloves and thought I should be able to handle it. So that, and I still got 2 weeks later, got kind of tingling, and it's the skin's dried out, and just wondering how I might train for that. What maybe happened? I'm getting in the water, but keeping my hands out like a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
But
No, if you go into the extreme stuff, the hands, I would say for me, the hands were used to be painful. It's where I first started. You go into kind of 3 or 4 degrees water, you swim 1,000 meters, your hands come out like you can't even, they're nearly hot, if you know what I mean. They're kind of like sensitive, but the more and more I went into it, the hands actually, the fingers absorbed. The fingers weren't as bad as they used to be. Like you're saying, like the fingers. But there's a very danger point in doing this, because you can lose sensitivity in your fingertips, which I did for, I think, about 4 months. I think I lost some sensitivity in my fingers because I was just getting pushing too much in the cold. And so I'm a firm believer now is actually swimming. I don't mind you swimming in 1 or 2 degrees or even lower, but you've got to look after your hands, as in make sure you wear proper gloves afterwards, keep them nice and warm. Don't multi-immersions in low temperatures too many times. I think that's what saved my fingers, and that's why I have 10 of my fingers, to be honest with you. I'm missing a toe actually from frostbite. The top of my toe, one of my toes, is just completely dead, and that hasn't recovered since.
Was that from a swim then, the losing of a toe?
I don't know. I think it was just exposure to wind, cold water wind, and just exposure. I don't know. I put down exposure, but
yeah, when you say you don't know, I just imagine that one day you just look down and you were like, "Oh, I've not got a toe."
No, do you know what it is? I kept losing my toenails. To be honest with you, I'm looking at it here now. To be honest with you, I kept losing my toenails, and on one foot, just on two toes, and then they grow back, and then it'll fall off again, and then one of the toes just literally. It just seems to regenerate and then fall off, but it's actually turned black now at the top of my toe. So I kind of, to be honest with you, the stuff I've done, it's kind of I'm lucky that that's all I have, to be honest with you. So, but again, look after your fingers and your hands. The pain does actually get relieved, but don't expose them into wind chill. The wind chill is actually the killer. The windshield in your fingers and extremities is the ones, like you see mountaineers with their fingers and their toes and their nose is gone, because they're your extremities. So make sure you look after them. There's no problem immersion in them. Come up. Don't really put them in hot water. Put them in cold water for any relief. We found hot water really hurts your hands. If you've normally room temperature water, putting your hands in there, it actually, your fingers react as if it's warm water. And that's actually a soother on the hands,
Wow.
Would you use mittens rather than finger gloves, or?
It depends. I have some mittens, really like 200 pounds worth mittens. My hands were cramping so badly I couldn't get them in. So I've kind of got these stretchy gloves from Rab that kind of just seem to fit. There isn't a bigger palaver putting them on, So whatever glove works. Simple for your hands, that's the glove. It doesn't have to be a certain make or a mitten. If it works and it gets onto your hands and you can get them on quite easily, well then, bang on,
Thanks,
Tom.
Stephen Gold has asked about the lion's mane jellyfish, whether they're there in the winter.
I hate them. Somebody had asked. No, thankfully, no, they're dead, which is great. Last year I got stung badly twice last year, and people started slagging me because they said that's why I picked the North Channel relay, because all the lion's manes are dead, and I said, well, that's one of them. And So yeah, there is no, we didn't see any kind of sea life. I think we see one dolphin, and that was kind of it. It was kind of just us. And no, thankfully the lion's manes, they start to appear, I think, I don't know, they kind of incubate up there, to be honest with you, you know. So I think really sort of first week in May, you kind of get some of, you know, small baby lion's manes, and they sort of start to move down, and I don't know, there's no set pattern for them. So it's funny, it's another seminar I'll do about sort of some of the effects of the stings that I have got, and even the remedies that bioscientists have given us, they didn't even work on them. So that's another seminar, you know.
So, I mean, what one thing I was going to ask is what sort of next for you then? Where?
Interesting, because I've kind of, when you get to your pinnacle of your swimming, which to me was obviously Antarctica, the privilege to get there. I think after that, you know, what's next? You know, kind of like what is that? You're not happy with your lot, you know, like not happy to be able to, you know, spend that kind of money and getting there and coming back safely. And I think when I came back, I was very level about what's next. And even though I went on to achieve loads of other things since then, but you know, I think, you know, I have a few ideas on different channels, but I kind of this year we're looking at moving house and different priorities. So I kind of more, I'd say more sort of local stuff around Ireland really, instead of international or long distance. So there is a couple of things, yeah. But I don't know, getting older.
That's a really nice answer though, to hear someone sort of say that you feel you've almost got to a point where you are content, you know, because that's what that came across like anyway. I don't know if that.
Yeah. No, I think I'm 52, so I think if you not get complacent at 52, and you know, I think there's something wrong. You know what I mean? You say, oh, I have to do this and do that and do this, and I was kind of never that kind of person. I had a plan. I said I wanted to do this, and I made it happen instead of talking about it and not putting any kind of, you know, my own personal life, my marriage in jeopardy, or, you know, we talked about this before, or friends. You know, you lose friends very quickly in this game because you do push and you train so hard. And I think, you know, by getting there, I think getting to your pinnacle, I think you should be very happy. So anything for me now is a kind of a bonus. And again, seeing other people achieving is a kind of passion of mine, to see other people around me succeed, and I'll do my best to help them.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's nice for us to be able to put something on like this, and I've just popped the YouTube channel in, because we will pop this onto YouTube if people want to come back and watch it again, or signpost other people to come and have a look and everything like that as well. I think another question might have come in. Tell us more about the air temperature and how that plays its part. Do you want to ask that, Deborah? Just, you might be able to.
Oh yeah, hello Joe, it's Deborah. Hello there. Hi, I hope you didn't mind. Yeah, just no, I spoke to you before. Honestly, I'm in awe. It's just fabulous. It's such an exciting journey. I've been ice swimming for over the years. Really, I don't know how I got into it. Just somebody invited me to the lake and blah blah blah. But it does give me a wonderful feeling just having a cold dip and stuff and swimming. I do feel very good for it. And I'm learning more and more as I go along. But it's where I come from. I'm Maidstone in Kent, so it's a lot warmer. Our temperatures are warmer here. We don't get. I don't think. Well, I haven't swum anywhere below sort of 5, I think it's been here. But the air temperature's been relatively warm as well. Just wondered how air temperature plays a part. It's not something I consider so much, but it'd just be nice to hear more about air temperature, because that plays that. Because I was swimming the other day. It was very windy, very cold, and just noticed how much quicker I chilled. But and yeah, I just wondered if it might be interesting.
Huge thing.
Why it chills you? Why does it chill you if your body's in the water? You know.
I know. Yeah. Well, wind chill. Wind chill is probably the most dangerous, actually, because everyone talks about the water temperature, like it's 5 degrees, 6 degrees, whatever. But as an open water swimmer and a kind of extreme swimmer, you have to look at weather apps and weather local conditions and stuff. So you're kind of measuring, say, okay, I'm swimming in the morning, it's 7:30, the water temperature is 8 degrees. Oh, hang on a sec, the air temperature is 4 degrees and the wind is 40 kilometers an hour. So and the weather and the direction of the wind, you're calculating that, saying, okay, there's a huge amount of wind chill coming at me. So basically, instead of me going deeper in the water, out exposing myself for a 1,500 meter swim, I will just do half that and return back to shore and maybe swim along the shore, because I know the after effects of the wind chill will really have an effect on me. But it has a huge effect. So I calculated by that. And on the North Channel, thankfully, we had 7 degrees and a bit of wind chill. I'd say you allow 20% drop off of wind chill, so probably about 5 degrees, what we were actually swimming in. But yeah.
5 degrees of what, wind chill? Or 5 degrees, that's what you worked it out to be?
They call it a real feel now. So for example, say we're at 7 degrees and you can calculate now a real feel of 5 degrees.
I see.
Because
with the water and the wind together, you have a calculation. It's a lot of.
It's not really. It's just the wind. You can only calculate the wind. So say if the wind is say the air temperature is 7, the air temperature, the wind chill brings it down to a real feel of 5 degrees.
5 degrees, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that has an effect on
It does.
It has an effect. It's definitely on your extremities, and has effect on, because your arms are out of water more, and your stroke then becomes, well, for me, with wind chill, the stroke becomes more deteriorated because your arms are out of water. The wind chill is hitting you. So, example, I'm swimming in 0 degrees. The wind chill is -20. So as soon as I put my arms out of water, I'm at -20.
So as soon as the arm comes out. Yeah.
I'm warmer in the water. So if you notice, a lot of Russian swimmers, they actually swim with head up only, and their arms are.
I was going to suggest breaststroke. Well, I would have thought that was what I'm going to say. Sorry, take it. Yeah.
So they have a bobble hat, say, or or a neoprene hat, and they put their hands under the water, because in fact it's actually warmer in the water than above it. If that makes so. I think the lowest I got to was Yakutsk, place called Yakutsk, was -32. And
is that air temperature?
Air temperature,
yeah, of course.
And,
of course, air temperature. Yeah, wow, that plays a huge part.
Huge part. The water was,
I've not experienced anything like that. As cold as I've done in the UK, that's a different sort of level of swimming in cold.
Yeah, but
cold.
Wind chill is everywhere for all of us on our coastlines. So it will take anyone down, and you just have to know your limits when to turn around and be smart and be able to calculate that, kind of say, well, I'm not going to do my usual route because it's definitely colder. It's the morning. There's a lot of factors, and you make a decision and say, no, I'm not going there. Or a lake. Lakes are so dangerous. It's always the return leg in a swim that catches people, because they might swim.
The return leg.
The return leg. Yeah. Yeah, they might swim 800.
So what do you mean a return leg? So I've got my partner who's listening. So
say for instance, you're swimming 1,000 meters, right? So it's 500 meters down the lake.
Right, got you.
That's your plan, and 500 meters back. Right?
I got it.
So 500 meters, you feel great, you feel fantastic, lovely. And you turn around and halfway back, you go, oh, Jesus, good. And my arms are getting heavy, my legs are sinking, and I can't see the finish, because now your eyes begin to disorientate a bit.
Yeah.
So that's a calculation we put in to say, swim down there and swim back, or else repeat it halfway, like 250.
I understand that, yeah.
So,
thank you so much. That's really covered a big question of my wind chill, because it's not something we experience so much, I don't think, in the southeast as you would in colder temperature. You're colder above, but
just be really careful.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Deborah.
Thanks, Deborah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if anybody else has got any final sort of questions.
Just as you notice what's in my picture there, I don't know if you noticed, no one's commented on it yet. that fella behind me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called a leopard seal.
Wow.
That was one of them that was chasing us, myself and Cat. And that was him actually. He's about
No.
he's about 4.5 meters long. And that's him coming. That's how he's able to actually, he's out of the water by himself. Look at his whole body. That's how strong. I class it as it's like a dinosaur raptor, you know, the way his image. But it's one of the scariest things I ever seen when he tries to bite your boat, you know. And that's one of the apex predators there, the leopard seal. So
wow.
you don't want to meet that guy in your local sea.
Chasing me.
All right, Kat.
I know. I can't look at it.
Yeah. That's the one thing. Actually, there's another picture of him there. We got a few pictures of him. He's like you know, that's us in the boat here.
Mouth like that.
Yeah, there's one thing, you know, you're dealing with sea life and stuff. We put a perimeter around us when we're swimming, and for say cat swim, we were able to track a pod of orcas that was in her swim zone, but before we started to swim, we had to track them and make sure they're actually out of the swim zone. So when you're dealing with stuff like that, it's unprecedented what we were doing. How we were actually able to radar track the pod, as well as we put a boat on with the pod to be able to radio back where have they turned around, are they back into kind of where Cat was swimming, you know. So yeah, it's not your normal, I'm afraid.
And Cat's coming on, which is a nice little segue at the end of March. So if any of you guys do want to pop back and listen to Cat's story in a bit more detail and stuff, that's going to be amazing for us as a charity and stuff. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, Cat's inspiration to all people out there and mums as well. She's a fantastic swimmer, and she's a great ambassador in Wales, and she just, you know, we got together, but she gets the same things what I do. She gives back so much of her time to people and helps people, and she's a challenge swimmer, extreme ice swimmer, you know. So that's the way we are. You know what I mean? You might have all the medals at home, but at the end of the day, you have to look after the community.
I think that.
And thank you, Jay, looked after me. Crazy guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let me come.
I think that resonates across all swimming people at all levels of swimming communities. I've not met many people at all that aren't just really warm and friendly no matter what they're doing, or are happy to talk about, offer advice and stuff like that. But it's lovely to see a sport where, you know, I do like watching football, but I can't imagine sitting down and chatting to, even though I play football, I can't imagine sitting and chatting to some of the Premier League footballers. I just don't see it'd be a similar conversation. Maybe I'm being unjust there, do you know what I mean? But it's just lovely in the swim. Yeah. It's always that warm.
No, I think it's, you know, it's like me and Kat, you know, we ain't the fastest swimmers, but we just have a certain talents we have that we're able to inspire people as well as inspire ourselves through these kind of achievements. But we are normal people, you know what I mean? We're normal. We came from normal backgrounds, we financed ourselves, you know, and I think if you're in that kind of basic, you can relate better to people at ground roots when somebody's not right with mental health, and a lot of stuff going on there with COVID and stuff. And I can see a lot of men suffering on my side, obviously women as well. We started up a kind of new Walrus group that were able to bring people in that were lonely, basically sitting in front of the computer 10 hours a day. And we kind of started these challenges that basically kept a lot of people sane and kept their mental health correct. So, you know, it's very easy to set up and just put your mind to things. Just try and get back. That's all I can say. It works.
Yeah, 100%. And some of the guests we've got 3 guests left coming on. We've got Katie Lambert, who she's a life coach. She came back to the water unfortunately after her husband committed suicide and things, and she's since gone on to be she's in extreme sports, but more about running. But she runs a swimming lake as well, and she does a little bit of life coaching as well. And yeah, she's a really amazing person and stuff. And so we're looking forward to having her on. And then after that, we've got a surf therapist coming on. So it's not quite swimming, but it's they work with a lot of young people, a lot of young groups, just getting them in the sea and doing surf therapy. So he's going to tell us a little bit about the story behind the charity that are doing that. They're called Wave. I don't know if people have heard of them. Give me a wave if you've heard of them. But yeah, they started off down south, and it was some guy that was working down in Parliament that had a breakdown, and then went off and set this charity up. And since then, they've gone on to affect thousands of young people, and especially from inner cities, going out and connecting to the ocean and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then Kath's going to bring it home. So any of that, if you guys just do follow us on Facebook, and then we'll close the chat for the summer, and we'll look at doing it again next winter, because I don't know about everybody else, but through the summer months, I'm not really up for being on Zoom as much. So it's unless anyone wants to volunteer to host through the summer, we'll probably shut it down again for the summer, and we'll come back as soon as it hits dark nights again. But yeah, I
think these chats are valuable to people that you might see, like social media. You might just see me flying around the world, or you know. But then the real stuff is kind of what we like talking about. We don't mind, have the confidence to be able to talk about our personal life and how we got here, the mistakes we made, the bravado, things like that. The ego is a bit as well. So all those things basically are on the surface, and eventually you just fall off and you just start doing it because you love it. You absolutely love it, and you look back to other people to inspire them, like we are talking about this now. So
yeah, no, 100%. And I loved coming over to Ireland and swimming with David, so I'm hoping to get back out there again. So if it works and you're around, what's been great about these is actually turning some of the Zoom meets into real life. If people aren't busy and we're around, just catching up and just getting in the water. And
listen, that's the beauty about swimming, isn't it? You know what I mean? There's, like, anyone comes to the 40 foot with me, it doesn't matter what distance you do. I don't care. Do what you want. You're happy. I'll meet you. If you don't want to swim, meet you for coffee. Fine, grand.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's kind of some comfort in that for people that, it doesn't have to be all extreme stuff like what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be this. You can just go down and enjoy swimming, enjoy the company, the tea, the shakes, the rattles, all the fun stuff, the music, the dancing. That's what we try and keep that going in our little spot. And Kat was there a few weeks ago. Were you, Kat? She's there. And
it was amazing. I didn't want to swim, and
you don't have to swim.
Dancing was just perfect for me.
So we put on some music and we start dancing. All of a sudden, then there's 30 people dancing, then there's 40 people, then there's 50 people, because everyone joins in. And I think that's the essence of why we do it. It's not about the extremes and so, oh geez, look at your man, he done this and he done that. Yeah, whatever. And just have a dance. So anyway,
yeah.
So that's it, Scott.
I just got to plug one last thing, and I'll only because I'll get shot if I haven't done this, because I forgot to do it earlier. Our swimming caps. There you go. Jane, our lady that got these sorted out, will kill me for mentioning them. So you can find out details about them on our social media and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to work as hard as you do to get one of those ones. But you just have to log on, and it's going to a good cause. I'd love to see some people wearing them in different parts of the country. That would be amazing. So yeah.
Well, certainly, I look at that and get a few over to me, and I'll show them. Well, showcase it for you, no problem.
But thanks again, guys. It's been really, really lovely evening, and I've really, really enjoyed it. Great to hear everything from Ger, and I hope the breakout rooms worked and things like that, and stuff. So I think that's it for now, guys. So
okay, thank you everybody.
I'm just going to put you all back on, get rid of the spotlight, just to see if I can see if people are still around.
Yeah.
And bye, everybody. It's been amazing. So thanks very much.
You are.
And I hope to see some of you on future chats.
Thank you, Julie.
Last word to you, Ger.
Just keep swimming.